So I want to talk about the $1 billion PhD and think about what it actually means to become a $1 billion PhD and why that might actually happen. So I'm going to give you some examples. I have an article that I pulled up here, and we're going to go through who are these $1 billion PhDs and look at what they actually did. And then think about why that actually is an important thing for you to understand and why you might actually get $1 billion if you become a PhD. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I'm actually a business professor at Study Innovation. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's a whole big platform that I'm trying to build. Go check it out. It's going to help you tremendously. All right. So, who are these $1 billion PhDs? I actually was really surprised with some of these folks. I didn't realize that they actually had a PhD. Eric Schmidt, if you didn't know, Eric Schmidt is the CEO, or I don't know if he's still the CEO, but the CEO of Google, has an electrical engineering and computer science doctorate. That's amazing. He's worth $16 billion. That's with a B. $16 billion with a B. That is insane how much that actually is worth. All right. So the man behind the Garmin, so you know the Garmin watch, my wife has that. It's worth $4 billion. Min Kao, and he studied electrical engineering, and now he is worth $4 billion. That is truly, truly insane. All right. So there is somebody else, Henry. Samueli is worth $8 billion. It's 2024. That is a lot of money. And he did some work in a semiconductor firm. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's really important. Broadcom did a whole bunch of stuff. Like there were billions of dollars. I don't know how. Okay, let's see. All right, so Peggy Chern is worth $2.5 billion. Electrical engineer yet again, right? Did some work with McDonnell Douglas and 3M. Pretty crazy stuff. But the most important thing is that she created Panda Express. Everybody loves Panda Express. Um, the Chinese food restaurant. I think it's Chinese food restaurant. Yeah, everybody loves it, right? So a couple of folks went into Wall Street. So David Shaw, David Segal. That's a great name, David Segal, not the actor. $7 billion, $8 billion. They were PhDs, and they went in PhDs in computer science and went into Wall Street. There is some folks that invented. So Charles Simonyi, $5 billion, invented Excel. MS Excel. So there is a lot of people. The list is really, really long. If you were to take in my guess, is that if you were to take the highest earners of our society, the ones that made the most amount of money, you'd probably see several advanced degrees. Maybe it's not a PhD, but you'd probably see MBA. You would definitely see PhDs in there. You would see engineering degrees, these kind of things. That is actually relatively common to see that. I mean, obviously, not everybody is going to do that, but there is that possibility. Now, why does this happen, right? Why is there so many of these folks? Now, there's many folks that don't have a lot of education and do spectacularly well too. That's not what I'm saying here. But what you learn, there's a couple of things that you learn. Um, Doing a PhD is a miserable experience. It's really, really hard typically. And the reason is lots of people discredit you. So it's your job to come up with an idea that stands up to other people that are very smart, that are going to try to discredit you in as many ways as they possibly can. And so you get used to feeling like you're not good enough. You get used to being alone. You get used to doing all those things that's really important for innovation, where you simply just say, you know what, I'm just gonna to the rest of the world, right? And I'm gonna do my thing. I know that this is right. The rest of the world is not always right. There is a lot that goes on between um, what you're doing and what they're doing, and you just have this mindset where you're just like, I'm going to do this. And that's what is often required for these quantitative shifts. Now, the other thing that's really important is often that these folks are at the cutting edge of technological changes. So you need to have a lot of luck that's happening, right? So you stumble into the right lab, you have the right mentors, you have the moment where you're working on the right kind of technology that just takes off. I remember talking to a PhD many years ago that got fed up with battery tech. They did their PhD in battery technology, and they were in it for like 20 years, and they got fed up because they kept thinking it was going to change, and it never ever changed until the last like 5 years. All of a sudden there's like a revolution in battery tech that everybody's adopting it. Batteries are going to be everywhere and pervasive. They are the amount of battery storage that's going on grids right now around the world. It is mind blowing, like mind blowing how much that's actually happening. And so this person missed out on that opportunity, right? Like they were not there at the right time. They kind of gave up on themselves. And so you have to have this courage. There is no right time. There's nothing that's ever really clear that somebody's going to say, this is going to be the right time and the right place. And you go into it and you stumble into it. The number of people that went into AI stuff, and 3 years ago, everybody laughed at them. Literally, everybody laughed at them because they were doing AI research, or like, who the heck is this person? It's stupid. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, everybody and their dog is talking about AI. I'm like, dude, we've known about this for a long time. And I feel bad for those folks that were in it early, but now that they don't feel, they're actually they're people want to actually talk to them because they know a little bit about I want you to think about this, right? Like what it means to do these innovative things. And a lot of these folks do innovative things, and they are doing stuff where they got to give the rest of the world one of these, right? Like, and I'm not going to raise my finger, but you know what I'm talking about. And you just keep going forward. You say, you know what, I'm good enough. I can do this. It's a hard journey. I can see clarity here, and I just got to keep going. And it's about getting up and getting going and trying every day and realizing it's not going to work out today, right? When you actually do this, you will realize it will not work out, right? The very first time you do something, it doesn't work out. And that's the trouble I have with a lot of the sort of science conversation, is that it comes up right away. It's super easy. No, it's hard, brutal, grinding work where you just got to get up and you got to know that I'm going to be the one that's going to do this, and nobody else is going to be there. And eventually, maybe that they will join on, but right now it's me. And until that happens, like nuts to you, I'm just going to do this myself, and I'm going to be the one that leads the charge, right? That's the fundamental story with all of these folks. If you start looking at them and you have these conversations with them, it's a fundamental story where they just say, nuts to this. I know that there's a problem here. Let's get going. Let's fix some of these things that exist, right? There is god awful number of people there's Scott Smith, right? Started Qualtrics. I think Qualtrics is out in like Utah, Salt Lake City, worth $1 billion. You didn't even know what Qualtrics is. Anybody that's in the research game knows what Qualtrics is. It's basically like a survey platform. Like, come on, everybody else, you gotta just stand on your own 2 feet and know. And this person was in sociology, sociology of all the things, right? Like everybody's like, nah, it's all these electrical engineers. No, you got to stand up on your own 2 feet and do things that require courage. And if you're going to do that, getting a degree that pushes you is an important thing. But you know what? Nobody is ever going to tell you you're doing the right thing. You got to get up and you got to do it. and you got to get going to the next step. And you got to be able to just step back and say, the I'm the shit. I'm I am pretty awesome. And it doesn't matter what everybody else says. I'm going to keep walking forward and I'm going to grind through this. That's it. That's how you become the $1 billion PhD. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.